How to transfer trust in marketing. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. We're going to get into the nice down and dirty psychology of marketing tonight. And there's very few amazing teachers out there like the late great Eugene Schwartz. This is his magnum opus, the breakthrough advertising. It's a tough one to get. I believe Titans Marketing still sells this for a pretty penny, worth every dime. Titans Marketing for breakthrough advertising. This I can pick up this book at any time, flip to any page, and get something great out of it, which is what I did tonight. I got to this chapter. This was chapter 13 on the seventh technique of breakthrough copy, which is what he calls camouflage. And in the very first few paragraphs, he's talking about, he calls it how to borrow conviction for your copy. And he's talking about copywriting, advertising copy, because that was what Eugene Schwartz did. He wrote copy for advertising, but the principles can be tied to any type of marketing whatsoever, which is an amazing thing, especially to content marketing. So you got to pay attention to this. This is great stuff. He says in here, he says let's see here. We have to discuss 5 separate ways to build believability in your copy. And he goes on with that, and he says, as long as there is faith in that publication, so if a person's reading a publication, a magazine, a newspaper, as any space buyer can tell you, it remains an excellent medium for advertising because some of his trust carries over from the editorial pages to the advertising pages. So he discusses how trust is built up between the reader and the person that's the person that's writing. But the same thing's true across the board. And he even mentions it's not just print. It's all forms of entertainment. A person, at this time he was talking about buying a radio or buying a television. Sometimes people just do it to keep informed, just to know what's going on, what's happening and why it's happening, and so on and so forth. So news media and nonfiction, if you will. But people also rely on any form of entertainment, and there's a trust base in that entertainment factor. So the shows that you watch, if you watch television shows, if you watch anything off of Netflix that's a series or anything of that sort, you are expecting something relatively specific. You know that you're watching either a comedy or you're watching a drama or a thriller. There's certain things you expect. You expect for it not to go too graphic. You expect for it not to do that. There's certain things, and sometimes they're things you don't even think about because you would never see any of those things on television, but that's part of your expectations. There's a trust built up there. And if you have trust in anything, whether you have trust in it or not, which you do, if you're going back to something over and over again, you're going back to a TV station, you're going back to a YouTube channel, you're going back to somebody's vlog or what have you, there's a trust that's built up. And that trust transfers automatically. It will automatically transfer to whatever's being advertised, as long as that advertisement doesn't break the trust spell, if you will. That trust is there, and as long as they don't completely go off the wall and stand out and appear to be completely different from what it is that you've based your trust in, then that trust automatically washes over it, and it gives it the ability to be believable, if you will. Let's see if I didn't lose my place as I'm sitting here waxing with you. This is, it's just some amazing stuff in here. He says, he calls it a believability reflex. He says, and it comes from phraseology. So if you're talking about a publication that you're reading, the phraseology, the way that everything is put together in terms of words that builds trust, and that it carries an aura of truth all by itself, no matter what the material embraces. He says it's a conditioned reflex, that we reflexively will begin trusting something, fiction or nonfiction. I'm telling you, it's the same thing. And if you are going through the process, and you're going from whatever the person's watching, listening to, paying attention to, and you're transferring over from what he calls from editorial to advertisement, but you could just say the same thing, from entertainment to the advertising, as long as you can blur the lines there as much as possible, then that trust maintains more and more, and you have the ability to borrow the trust of whatever format it is that you're advertising on. I hope that makes sense to you, because it really is a very important thing. It's something to watch yourself, to make sure you're not, well, you are, but make sure that you don't get carried away with too much trust in the wrong authorities. You know, we do tend to do it with news items. You know, we don't like that news station, but we do like this news station. So anything this news station says is right, and anything that one says is wrong. And not only that, everything that is advertised on there, you have a good feeling about going with that advertiser, even though the same advertiser may be advertising over there. But the smart ones have two very different style advertisements, and the really smart ones have two completely different names for it. It's the same company, if that makes sense. These things occur. It can be used for good or evil. But if you understand the trust factor, it happens all the way, and it's not just in advertising. That's why I said marketing, because it even happens in one-on-one sales when you're dealing with people. Once a trust factor is in place, that trust can be transferred. This is why network marketing works really well if you're working with somebody who is a trusted person, who has earned trust of other people, and that as long as you are also trustworthy, as long as you can also talk the talk, use the same phraseology, and introduce people to your opportunity, products, or what have you, you get the same thing. That trust is transferred. It's a very interesting human, in some ways it's a human frailty, in other ways it's one of the best things we got. Having that understanding of how trust works is so important to your marketing. So hopefully this gives you a bit of at least an intro into the concept. This is a great book. It's very deep, not for everybody, but if you're wanting to get deep into the psychology of advertising, you can't go wrong with Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. That's all I have for tonight. Go check out my book, 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. It's shorter, easier to read, and a little bit more modern. 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. You can get a free copy at amazonproofbook.com. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.